We start tonight with a developing story. We're learning a man is dead after a shootout with law enforcement in Adams County today. Brighton police tell us he killed a family member and then carjacked somebody as he tried to get away. Police say this whole thing started with reports of an assault on North 11th Avenue. Police tell us the suspect killed an elderly relative, then fled the scene. Another family member reported the suspect was acting erratically. Thornton police were then called to a crash that involved the suspect's vehicle. Police say the suspect then carjacked a person passing by at knife point. That person had offered to help. Adams County deputies say they then spotted the stolen car, and when deputies confronted that suspect, they say he shot at them. One deputy returned fire, killing that suspect. The deputy was not injured. Just within the last hour, we had a chance to talk to Brighton police about all of this today and how quickly it played out.
8:44 is when we first get the call in Brighton, and then 9:40 is when our deputies are confronting him with the firearm. So yeah, absolutely. It's very violent, it's very dangerous, and just really unknown at that moment.
The Adams County Critical Incident Response Team is now investigating the shooting. We have a crew in that area working to learn more tonight, and as soon as we have updates, we'll bring them to you on 9 News and 9news.com. Let's shift our focus now to the forecast. We hope you enjoyed a warm start to the month because things are changing fast. It's getting cold out there. The wind and the snow are back in our forecast, especially for those of you enjoying the high country this weekend. Here's a quick time lapse of snow at Vail overnight. The high country got a couple inches, and they have more on the way. So we got a couple good powder days coming up if you can stand the cold. And that snow is expected to continue for at least the next 3 days. We're also keeping our eye on some brutal cold temperatures this upcoming week. 9 News Weather Impact Team meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen. Corey, I know you watch Game of Thrones. Winter's coming.
Winter is coming. Yeah, you know, we always say that in the beginning of the winter, kind of in anticipation. But this will be a true experience. We had the one Arctic blast in January. This will be very similar to that. Maybe just a little bit less snow and maybe a little less negative temperatures, but it's going to be a good one for sure. Right now, temperatures are in the 40s here in the Denver metro area, some upper 30s, so we're starting to cool down for tonight. That snow last night it wasn't big. I mean, 4 to 10 inches here, but all of this fell in 10 hours. So can you imagine 10 inches in 10 hours in Steamboat? Those totals were good, and the snow will last for a couple of days. So lots of powder to have out there if you're going to head up to the high country again tomorrow. We have some light snow showers continuing here in parts of the high country. That'll just continue to be light flurries until maybe tonight we'll have one more burst, and then we're looking at a little bit of a break on Sunday from the snow. Here is the forecast in Denver. We'll mix in quite a bit of sunshine tomorrow, but staying cooler, just slightly below the normal high temperature for this time of year. So we'll have just one more chilly weekend, and then the Arctic cold front comes in on Monday. So I'll talk about those impacts on the 3-day cold front here coming up in the forecast.
Corey, thank you. The city of Denver is going to take some action ahead of this cold stretch. Starting today, the city and the county will provide extra shelter running through next Thursday. Single adults needing shelter should go to the Denver Rescue Mission or Samaritan House on Lawrence Street. Families that have children can go to Urban Peak on South Acoma. Thousands of King Soopers workers remain on strike as they protest what they call unfair labor practices. But some workers are crossing picket lines. 9 News reporter Evan Krugel spoke with one of them today. He joins us live in Denver tonight to explain why this man is saying he's still going to keep working.
Yeah, Jenny, thousands of workers continue to strike across the region, including outside this store here at 9th and Downing in Denver. But some union members are beginning to cross over picket lines, including that man down in Highlands Ranch. We talked with him about that tough decision to do so. The parking lot at this Highlands Ranch King Soopers sat mostly empty Saturday as a small group of workers stood out front, picketing against unfair labor practices.
This is not right, and workers are not going to put up with it.
Union President Kim Cordova says workers at 79 stores are now on strike after contract negotiations with Kroger broke down. Cordova says about 10,000 workers have walked out. But some, like Rob Tabachi, are continuing to walk in.
There's a little apprehension, but I'm more apprehensive of the union people and not so much the employees.
Rob is a department manager at the Highlands Ranch store and believes many of his coworkers are striking because they've been told to by the union.
They say they have our best interests, but I really don't believe that they do.
Cordova says 95% of members who voted were in favor of the strike as they look for higher pay, steady benefits, and a fix to a staffing crisis she says is impacting workers and customers.
Workers are being asked to do the jobs of 2, 3, 4 workers. And customers see this with lack of staffing in the form of long lines, empty shelves.
Rob believes those claims are exaggerated and says while he feels apprehension walking past his picketing coworkers, he believes it's the right thing to do to send a message to union leadership.
I'm tired of all of the games. You know, you put us through this 3 years ago, and now you're putting us through this again. Just get back to the table, get this done so we can move on.
Now, King Soopers says it's committed to keeping these stores open during the strike, although some could see reduced hours while this goes on. It's worth noting that strike 3 years ago, that one lasted for 10 days. This one is scheduled to last for 14 days, but that could be shortened if the two sides are able to reach an agreement. Reporting live in Denver, Evan Krugel, 9 News.
All right, Evan, thank you. And the Girl Scouts of all groups got caught up in the King Soopers strike this year. They can't set up their cookie booths outside the stores while the strike is going on, even though many of these troops have pre-purchased thousands of boxes of cookies they have to sell. Today, King Soopers says they'd like to help. Girl Scout cookie season just started. King Soopers booths become some of the biggest sales. This week, when the Scouts learned they couldn't sell outside the stores during the strike, they had to pivot. King Soopers says it will now extend the group's selling period through March 16th, so working with them longer than the initial commitment previous to the strike. The company also committed to a $15,000 donation to the Girl Scouts organization. When that strike started, other businesses started offering up their space, including Denver Mayfair Liquor. The Girl Scouts of Colorado CEO told me this week the silver lining in all of this is the girls get to learn some really hard lessons about business.
This is a reality of running a business, and it's a really good lesson for them to understand that you need to pivot, you need to be flexible, and our girls are very resilient.
We've also learned about the girls selling at other businesses, places like car dealerships. Well, this afternoon, people are gathering at the state capitol to protest President Trump's immigration policies. They're angry about the ICE raids we saw this past week in Denver, Aurora, and across the metro. Denver police have warned people there are some off and on road closures in and around the Capitol this afternoon. As for those raids this past week, the feds told us they were targeting more than 100 members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. ICE, though, still has not told us exactly how many people they arrested. Fox News reported there were about 30 arrests, one person being a suspected TDA member. Now, the demonstrations today follow a similar protest we saw near the Capitol on Wednesday. That gathering was originally billed as a 50-51 day. 50 protests in 50 states on one day. A lot of different causes, though, that brought people out to the Capitol to protest on Wednesday. There were chants out there about not just immigration, but also Elon Musk and the administration's plans for the Department of Education. This morning, 5 people were injured in a car crash. It happened at Colfax and Spear, right near the convention center and the Auraria campus. Denver police say this involved 2 cars. One person was cited for careless driving. DPD says all people involved had serious injuries. If you're going to be out and about for Super Bowl tomorrow and drinking, be extra careful when driving home. You should also know that CDOT and CSP are ramping up their DUI patrols this weekend. CSP specifically said they're focusing on Adams County. CSP patrols started this morning. They run through Monday. Officials say they are focusing on Adams County because they've had such a high number of crashes on weekend evenings. Since 2020, state data shows Adams County had 380 crashes. 85 of those were deadly. Most of the crashes happened Friday and Saturday nights. No surprises there. Drivers can expect to see some CDOT sobriety checkpoints as well for the next 20 days. Last year on Super Bowl weekend, CDOT said 195 people were arrested for DUI across the state. All of last year, more than 15,000 DUI cases were filed. CDOT says it's not just the drivers who are responsible to be safe, but it's also the responsibility of party hosts.
You know, you can be arrested if you're impaired just to the slightest degree. You can be impaired just after 1 or 2 drinks, and really your judgment is the first thing to go. So be aware of how friends are feeling, how they're doing, and look out for them. Don't hesitate to take away their keys.
The sobriety checkpoints run through February 26th.